Good evening. I wish to add my thanks and to everyone for coming out on this stormy night, most especially our candidates, and add my thanks to AIM as well for doing our recording for us this evening. We will have available on our website in the next 24 hours to 36 hours a link to the raw feed from this program, and that will in due time be replaced with an edited version of the evening's event. So I am Lois Kuntz, formerly a member of the Executive Committee for Civic Federation and still a volunteer. I will be moderating the 3 panels that we have planned for the evening. So I'm going to begin by outlining the program mechanics and reviewing a few rules, which are also available in print for you all to read along. The order of the candidate panels we will begin with the Virginia House of Delegates 49th District, and then we will go to the Arlington County Board, and then to the Arlington School Board. We will have our uncontested candidates for the other state delegate offices in October, who will come and just join us briefly at the beginning of the meeting. When each candidate panel is called, candidates will take their places at the tables to my right. Candidates will have the opportunity to make 2-minute opening statements and 3-minute closing statements from their seats. Speaking order has been determined and will be the same for both opening and closing statements. And after the opening statements, candidates will answer questions from the Civic Federation's delegates or alternates. Candidates may use their notes throughout the panel, and the order for answering questions will rotate. The Arlington County Civic Federation delegates or alternates who wish to pose a question will form a line at the microphone at the front of the auditorium. And in order to maximize the number of individuals who have an opportunity to ask a question, I will first give priority to delegates who have not yet asked one. Delegates may direct their question to one or more candidates, but each candidate will have the opportunity to respond to each question. Delegates have up to 45 seconds to speak, to ask their question. They must not make position statements. We ask that you focus your questions on the issues that these candidates will likely face if elected. Follow-up questions are not allowed. I will repeat what Duke has said, and that is that the forum is a nonpartisan event, takes place on the property of the Virginia Hospital Center, and as such, all the Hospital Center rules apply. Furthermore, the debate will be confined to pertinent issues, and high standards of decorum and civility are expected. So with that, let's not delay any further. May I ask Alfonso Lopez and Adam Roosevelt to please come forward. And speaking to all of our candidates, the microphones here can be temperamental. They need to have a green light on to be working, and you need to speak with them close to your mouth. Even if you're able to project, the recording is taken over the microphones, so we ask that you try to work with them. Thank you, Duke.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we flipped a coin, and Delegate Lopez is going to begin his 2-minute opening statement, followed by Mr. Roosevelt, and then we will take questions. Thank you.
Thanks.
It's all yours.
When do I begin?
Right now.
Right now.
Yeah.
Thank you to the Arlington Civic Federation for being here tonight, and thank you for the incredibly vital role you play in our community. I believe in a commonwealth that lifts everyone up and leaves no one behind. And as your delegate, I've been a champion for our values in Richmond. I'm proud of my bipartisan work and the relationships I've developed on both sides of the aisle to find common ground and get things done. Over the last 6 years, I've been the patron, chief co-patron, and co-patron of 57 bills signed into law. I'm proud to have passed legislation addressing everything from small business procurement to tenant protections to easing congestion at polling places to incentivizing renewable energy and protecting immigrants from fraud. And I'm especially proud of my legislation that created the Virginia Affordable Housing Trust Fund, which has already invested over $1.5 million in Arlington. And I will continue to be a strong voice on bills that have yet to pass, from sensible gun violence prevention to safe drinking water to banning child labor on tobacco farms in Virginia. As the House Democratic whip, I've supported the governor in his efforts to pass important bills and defeat bad bills, bills that would curb a woman's right to choose, cut public education, roll back environmental safeguards, demonize immigrants, and decimate our social safety net. I'm proud to have helped the governor sustain the governor's vetoes of bills that would have made Virginia look worse than North Carolina and harmed our ability to grow the economy. Going forward, we must focus on jobs in the economy, education, and the needs of working families. I pledge to continue fighting for better schools, long-term transportation solutions, environmental safeguards, new jobs and economic developments, and the Arlington values of embracing diversity, tolerance, and compassion that we all hold dear. Politics is not about power, it's not about money, it's about improving people's lives. As I hope I've shown you over the last 6 years, I will always work hard to make Virginia a place where we lift everyone up and leave no one behind. Thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight.
Thank you very much. Mr. Roosevelt, it's your turn.
Good evening. Local law enforcement, teachers, civic leaders, friends, family, and also members of the community. I would like to begin by saying thank you to the Arlington County Civic Federation for hosting this forum tonight, and I would also like to say thank you to all of you for coming out. I would like to extend a warm welcome to my opponent, Mr. Lopez, for accepting the request of the Arlington County Civic Federation. I am a member of this community. I have fought for this country. I believe that the voice of the people should be heard, and we have to open the legislation that has been passed or attempted to pass because the generation that is in front of us must be protected. I will serve you. I will be committed. I have no reason to not be committed. I will always serve you. I believe in this country. I believe in the Virginians here, and I believe that we can advance education. We can advance transportation. We can protect our children's future. We can protect our veterans. And lastly, we can protect you. God bless you. I look forward to your questions. I look forward to working with you, and I look forward to bringing forth policies that will improve the quality of life here in our district. Thank you.
I thank you both. It's time now to come down to the microphone if you would like to ask some questions of our candidates. Again, when you come to the microphone, please say your name and the organization which you represent as delegate or alternate. There you go. It's working now. And keep your question to 45 seconds. Thank you, Stephanie.
I'm Stephanie Pryor, a resident of 49th, as well as Penrose Neighborhood Association delegate. Since the Affordable Health Care Act got through with Congress this year, will you support expansion of Medicare in the Commonwealth of Virginia?
You mean Medicaid?
Medicaid, yeah, sorry.
That was new to me about Medicare. Here are the facts. 6,100 people in the 49th district, the second most of any district in the state, could benefit from Medicaid expansion. 400,000 people in Virginia, 30,000 new jobs. People talk about this as a health care issue. It's a moral issue as well, but it's also an economic development issue. The fact is that Lee County in Southwest Virginia lost its hospital. What CEO is now going to put their manufacturing plant or their call center or any business in Lee County, knowing full well that if their worker gets a stroke or has a heart attack, the closest hospital is 75 miles away in West Virginia, a state that expanded Medicaid. The fact is that, as a lot of people might know, my wife and I just had another baby. Thank you. Don't clap, it's my time. It's wonderful news, though. He was born prematurely. He's been at the NICU at Georgetown since June 9th. He came home two weeks ago. I just got the bill. If I didn't have insurance, I'd have to sell my house or declare bankruptcy. And the fact is this: there are working families in Virginia without health insurance. Working families. It's immoral not to expand Medicaid. And here's another kicker. The hospitals in Virginia 2 years ago agreed to pay the entire percentage that the federal government would have the states pay. So the hospitals would have made it free for Virginia. And we still couldn't get it passed out of the House of Delegates. That's not about personal health. It's about politics, and it's wrong.
Thank you, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Mr. Roosevelt, we'll come to you next, and for the next question, we'll start with you.
Well, congratulations on your baby. I have a little girl as well. Her name's Amaya Bella, and she's my heart and joy. I actually grew up in Norfolk, Virginia. I was very impoverished. I ran from a lot of the problems in the community. I was not afforded a lot of the opportunities that a lot of people have growing up. And I will tell you that as I grew and I learned to develop a sense of the world and understanding of business, I looked at our state and I said to myself, I'm a person that came from a neighborhood that we're talking about. What kind of plan of action am I going to think about to protect the people that came from my neighborhood? I have to ask myself the hard questions. But I will tell you right now, as a small business owner, the Commonwealth of Virginia cannot sustain the expansion of Medicaid. We need to look at something that is going to be realistic for our economy, because we will rob the next generation of young people who do not have a voice today, those children, the unborn children, the next generation. And I'm here to make sure that we pass legislation that is responsible, that will improve our economic focus, and will protect the next generation of children. So that's my response to that. But let us look at the numbers. Let us not try to pass legislation based on just emotion alone, but let us talk about the next generation that has to grow up in the 49th district. You mentioned, Mr. Lopez, the district that was not in this area. We're talking about the 49th district right now. What this means is those taxes will increase. That is what they failed to tell you, is that your taxes will increase, and we have enough taxes as it is. Let us work with the governor. Let us work with the House of Delegates to put forth a plan that will protect the next generation. Thank you.
Thank you. And maybe we can hold our applause until the end of the panel for our next delegate. Next delegate question.
Good evening. I'm John Snyder. I'm from the Douglas Park Civic Association.
John, could you step closer or lift up the microphone?
Yes.
Thank you.
John Snyder from the Douglas Park Civic Association. Immigrants are a large part of our Douglas Park community and of the 49th District. We've seen over the last year or so that there's legislation pending that would require ICE, require compliance with ICE detainers for all localities, and that would also ban sanctuary cities, although we don't actually have any sanctuary cities. Would you support or not support this legislation, and why or why not?
Thank you. That was a very good question. And I will start based on my experience. I was in NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, for 3 years. I served as an immigration president for the Pakistanis. And I'm a young man, so I will tell you I spent a lot of time. So when it comes to immigration, I am very, very strong on my position here. And what I want to make sure is that people are legally migrating to the United States so that we make sure that the benefits that are allotted to the United States citizens, that has to be our first priority. But we do have communities that are impacted. I will tell you, I fell in love with the Latin American community. I like bachata, I like to go out there, and I like to enjoy a good time. So I have a duty to also protect them. So here's what I want to do. I want to talk to the legislators in the House of Delegates. I want to talk to our state Senate about making sure that the folks who are here and who are not criminals, who have not actually committed felonies in our district, have a future here in the United States of America. But as for the people who have committed crimes in Virginia, we have to remove those illegal immigrants.
To answer your question, no, I don't support any of those bills. In fact, I helped lead the fight in opposition to them for the last several years. The 49th District is the world in a zip code. There are 108 languages spoken in South Arlington and 58 languages spoken at Wakefield High School, our local high school. I'm going to mention this in the future, but my dad was undocumented when he came to the United States at the age of 19. It took him 5 days to get a green card in 1958. Today, it takes 7.5 years if you're lucky, 13 years usually. What we have is a fundamentally broken immigration system at the federal level. What Virginia's, some localities like Prince William County and what some delegates like Bob Marshall have tried to push is a patchwork quilt of immigration laws for the entire country, or which is not what we want. Here are the facts. This administration, this new president, and Tom Homan, the acting director of ICE, has put forward regulations saying that anyone, no matter what your status, if you are here undocumented, you will be deported. And so you are seeing a huge uptick in the number of deportations happening right now. The problem is that, as we've seen today with the DACA rescinding, that it's not who we are. It's not the approach we should be taking as Americans, as Virginians. We're better than this. We need comprehensive immigration reform. These decisions need to be made at the federal level, not at the state level. And the fact is, I agree with my colleague here, not my colleague, my opponent here. If you commit a violent crime and you're undocumented, I'll be the first person to say you should leave the country. But the fact is, dreamers, who maybe in some cases brought here through no fault of their own when they're infants, have not committed any crime. And making them suffer for the sins of the parents is not who we should be.
Thank you. Our next question.
Hello, I'm Ron Haddix of the Columbia Heights Civic Association, and President Trump has killed the Clean Power Plan and weakened the EPA. As a member of the General Assembly, what will you do to address the climate change in Virginia and protect our environment for future generations?
Yes.
There we go. I am very proud of the fact that my background's in the environmental policy, environmental legislation. I was a member of the B team at the federal level for several years right out of law school. I worked at the Council on Environmental Quality in the Clinton White House. And I'm proud of the fact that I'm the founder of the Virginia Environment and Renewable Energy Caucus. And my co-chair is in the back of the room here, Rip Sullivan. And what we are now doing is talking about stuff that Virginia should have done 15, 25, 45 years ago. Just talking, but we're doing it in a constructive, bipartisan way. This is a bipartisan group that has brought together Republicans and Democrats, scientists, academics, Homeland Security folks, to figure out legislation that we can move Virginia forward on. Here's the problem. I have to get up in the House of Delegates every year and defend the Clean Power Plan. I'll quote NASA. I'll quote the National Academy of Science. I'll quote the Royal Academy of Science. And my colleague on the other side of the aisle will get up and say that climate change is a liberal hoax. It's true. It's happened twice. The fact is, we can't even call it climate change in Virginia. We have to call it recurrent flooding. I'm not joking. I've worked tirelessly to get solar, renewable energy, wind energy done in Virginia to address the environmental issues that are causing the problems with climate in the United States. Here's the thing. Virginia should be the leader in the Mid-Atlantic for renewable energy. We're leaving hundreds of millions of dollars, tens of thousands of jobs on the table. We should be the best for wind off the coast, solar in the valley, hydrokinetic in our rivers, and the best place in America to grow switchgrass, a biofuel, is Martinsville, Virginia, a place in desperate need of jobs, especially ag jobs. We're leaving money on the table, and we could be helping the environment at the same time.
I'll just remind my opponent that we're talking about the 49th District. So when we talk about clean energy, and it is not just a liberal statement here, what needs to be assessed is putting forth individuals who truly understand the issues. I know that NASA has produced a report, and they talk about the levels that are increasing, and it's been measured for quite some time now. So as a person who believes in STEM, as a person who believes in advancing science, technology, energy, mathematics, and medicine, it's important that our young people have the ability to assess anything that will be negative on our environment. So let us start there with the leadership. Let us start there with education, but let us not be quick to judge and say that this is a political issue. And I think we've got a lot of problems right now when it comes to politicizing issues that predominantly need to be proven by science. We're all here for the advancement of education. We're all here to encourage our children to be scientists. We're all here to make sure that our children go after the jobs in environmental science. Let us be the leaders. Let us be the parents. Let us be the community that goes and champions science. Let us reach the stars, since we want to cite NASA.
Thank you. Just so that nobody is standing there needlessly, I think we have time for 2 more questions only. Thank you.
I'll make mine quick. I'm Dave Gelman with the Yorktown Civic Association. Mr. Roosevelt, Delegate Lopez, can you provide some details on where you stand on a woman's right to choose?
And we'll start with Mr. Roosevelt this time.
Thank you. That's a very good question. I will tell you that I stand for the protection of the mother's health. I stand for the protection of the child. There needs not be any legislation or any person that stands in the way of that, because a woman is strong, a woman is very strong, and we must protect that woman, but we also must protect the child's life. It is very important that we don't politicize this issue as well. That child is entitled to life, but the mother is also entitled to life as well.
A woman's right to choose is non-negotiable. Let me repeat that. A woman's right to choose is non-negotiable. How many times do we have to get up in the floor of the House of Delegates and basically fight folks who would take away a woman's power over their own body? 20-week abortion limits, a transvaginal ultrasound probe. Everybody remember that? Happened my first year in the House of Delegates. Made us the laughingstock of Saturday Night Live and most national news programs, because the candidate, the individual who put the bill forward, didn't understand what their own bill did. A woman's right to choose is non-negotiable. And I support a woman's right to choose.
Our next question, please.
Hi, I'm Don Gurney of the League of Women Voters. Redistricting is going to be on the menu of things that you both are going to have to address during this next session. So what changes in Virginia's method of drawing electoral district lines, that is the actual redistricting process itself, to comply with the Constitution, what changes would you support?
It's me.
Yes, it is.
There you go. We need a nonpartisan redistricting commission, and we need it 20 years ago. The fact is that we have perfected gerrymandering in the United States. And what's interesting is if you look at every statewide election in the Commonwealth of Virginia, Democrats win 51, 52, 56.1% of the vote. But because we have been able to gerrymander with a laser-like scalpel who is in what district and who votes where, and we have data analytics on what kind of magazines people get, the elected officials can choose their voters and not the other way around. And so the fact is, we need a nonpartisan redistricting commission 2 decades ago. And I've been fighting with my colleagues in the House of Delegates from Arlington tirelessly to help people to vote. Why is it that we have seen consistently from the majority in the House of Delegates legislation to make it harder to vote in Virginia. Voter ID, not accepting no excuse absentee voting, not accepting early voting provisions, not funding every single electoral board in the state to make it harder for us to pass statewide legislation. The fact is, to answer your question about redistricting, it's just the tip of the iceberg. But I'm hopeful with the U.S. Supreme Court case that we're still waiting for the Rocket Dock in the Eastern District to rule after the new standard of law was put forward on the racial gerrymandering in Virginia with the 11 House delegate seats, and with several other court cases that are moving forward right now, that we might see some positive change on this, not through the General Assembly, but through the federal court system.
My opponent has quite a voice tonight, and he has quite a position to stand in to bring those issues up from 2011 to 2017. We reviewed fiscal year 17's legislation. None of those proposals were in fiscal year 2017. I think as leaders, we are given an opportunity when we are elected. We get 2 years to make and say our piece based on our communities. If there is going to be a discussion about anything redistricting, and it was so important, that legislation could have been passed. It could have been patroned. It was not. I support actions that will divide districts and allow more voice from both sides of the political aisle. I am currently sitting in the 49th district. So I am here to give you a choice. I am here to give you an option. I am here to give you a voice that you have not seen in a very long time. It is the other side of the aisle. So I will tell you now that when we talk about redistricting, let us now encourage people from all walks of life, all sides of the political party, to come out and go door to door and talk to their community and build a stronger future. That's what we need, and we need to encourage legislation that will encourage more voice in our community, and we need to start now.
Okay, thank you very much. I think with that, we will go to closing statements, and perhaps you gentlemen will want to ask questions of the county board candidates. We'll go in the same order again, beginning with Mr. Lopez. Sorry, Takis.
Starting now?
Yes.
Thank you, everyone, for the opportunity to speak here tonight as a part of the forum. My dad was born into poverty as one of 22 children from the same parent in the Andes Mountains of Venezuela. Undocumented, at 19, he came to America with only $260 in his pocket and the dream of a better life. He became a citizen. He worked 2 jobs while taking 1 class a semester at George Mason until he graduated from college 1 month before I graduated from high school. My mom was a high school guidance counselor here in Arlington who helped over 1,000 immigrant kids not only graduate from high school, but from college. My parents were helped by the social safety net to get an education and create a middle-class life for themselves, and they created a life for me that was full of opportunity and promise. They also instilled in me the importance of giving back every day. From Arlington boards and commissions like the Fiscal Affairs Advisory Commission to working in the Clinton, Kane, and Obama administrations, I've dedicated my life to public service. Living that legacy taught by my mom and dad has paid me back 1,000 times over. There is nothing in the world as rewarding as changing people's lives for the better. Meeting a family that has a roof over their head because of my Affordable Housing Trust Fund bill. Making it easier for women and minority-owned small business owners to grow, navigate the procurement system, and thrive. Helping Dreamer students get in-state tuition and a college degree. And ensuring that safety net that was there for my parents is there for future generations as well. Just think if we could expand Medicaid or made sure that just 1 less child is hurt by a gun. As Senator Paul Wellstone said, we all do better when we all do better. That means we need to create more prosperity and do it in a way where everybody wins. We need to invest in our infrastructure, in our research and development, and in our innovative technologies, and in our workforce, and most of all, in our children. To do that, we need experience and a deep, nuanced understanding of public policy and the legislative process. I'll also continue in my efforts in the community, such as my successful negotiations to keep and expand DMV on 4 Mile Run when plans were made to move the facility out of Arlington. The issues that we will be dealing with over the next 2 years are critical if we're going to keep Virginia moving forward. If given the honor of representing my friends and neighbors and the community of the 49th District for another 2 years, I will continue to be a champion for the values and priorities that we all cherish. I will continue fighting for the community I love and for Virginia that lifts everyone up and leaves no one behind. I ask for your support and your vote on Election Day. Thank you all for your leadership in the community as members of CivFed, and thank you for being here this evening.
And now to you, Mr. Roosevelt.
I'd like to start by saying thank you all for coming out and all the civic leaders that are currently here tonight. If you elect me to the House of Delegates, I will help you decrease your taxes. I can tell you right now, as a young person, how much it costs. The cost of living in this area is very high. The taxes continue to increase. There's more justification for taxes each year. Every one of you in this room is impacted by the increasement of taxes here. Let me be your voice to advance the education system and to connect it with a workforce that our children can be proud of, but they can actually obtain higher paying jobs. Most of our children are moving out of the district. We've got 20% office vacancy space because of our taxes. We have got to work together to make this district more livable. Let's talk about the transportation. Let's improve our infrastructure. Let's make sure that it is reliable. Let's make sure that it is affordable. Let's talk about our small business programs. Let's pass legislation that will help our small businesses obtain contracts in the state. Let's cut the taxes so that our small businesses are not overburdened. Let's work with the families who are returning home from war, the veterans. We've got a lot of resources here in our backyard. Let us build the community that we can be proud of. Let us prepare for the 21st century. I will never let you down. I will always be committed to all of you, and if need be, I will die for each and every person in this room. That is why I deployed to Afghanistan 2 times. That is why I went out there and served the community of our people overseas. 13 countries later, I stand in front of you now because I love this community. I love the Commonwealth of Virginia. I believe that our future is bright, but we must secure our future now. Open the pages of the legislation that has been patroned. I assure you, you will be surprised. Let us now work together as a community. You have a choice now. I am here to be your voice. I am here to represent you as a member of the House of Delegates if you so allow me to do so. But look at what we're trying to do for our community. May God bless all of you. May God bless the Commonwealth. And may God bless the United States of America. Thank you all.
Wow. My thanks to both Mr. Roosevelt and Mr. Lopez. I never get tired of the passion, and I never stop learning from you all. Thank you very much.